Hi, I'm Stacy Andersen, also known as the Supergene. Having lived in 9 cities across 3 continents and counting, Supergene Unleashed features people from around the world sharing their unfiltered versions of female empowerment. With a 20-year global career in digital marketing, operating as a leader and mentor, and now as a wife and mother of 3, I encourage you to unleash your own Supergene and become the most empowered version of yourself. Here's your advocate, ally, and confidant. I am ready to inspire you. Let's show the world what it's all about. Welcome back, my fellow Supergenes. I wanted to take an opportunity today to talk a little bit deeper about my last episode with Abigail Postner. I've honestly listened to it 3 times now, and even though I was the one driving the recording, I keep walking away with a different message every time I hear it. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's not that her message is different. It's that when I think about it relative to my life, where I am right now, I think of different ways I can apply what she said. But more importantly, I feel more optimistic about the future, which has been a really positive thing for me to experience. And I want to talk about why, because where I am personally right now, I didn't actually plan for everything to be happening in my life as it is. And the past year has frankly been a roller coaster. I left my job to take an extended maternity leave. I gave birth to twins. Literally went from 1 child to 3 children in a matter of minutes, which if you're a parent that's listening, it is really crazy to do that kind of a leap in a matter of no time whatsoever, because you're literally having to reprogram your life and just figure out what the new routine can look like. And to top it all off, I'm sure that most of you have seen in the news that in the Middle East, we had to navigate quite a big conflict, and I was actually in Dubai at that point in time. So it has really been a crazy 2026, and now that we've, reached the halfway point, I just wanted to say that I don't think I'm alone in feeling all of these different things and experiencing truly so many shifts. And it's funny because I'm not necessarily an astrologer person, but my Instagram feed has been really showing me a lot of different things from people who are astrologers. And they're actually talking about how it is a massive year of transformation. Apparently, Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and abundance, just moved into Leo this month, which I'm a Leo, and that apparently is something that is happening for the first time since 2014. So 12 years now. And I've also looked into it, and apparently there's a rare 6-planet convergence that also happened earlier this year. And right now, here in July, we're experiencing a once-in-a-generation planetary alignment that is forming what astrologers are calling one of the most significant things in our lifetimes. So if you're with me and you're feeling like, wow, there's a lot happening, unexpected things, change, just generally feeling, I don't know, maybe even different. It maybe isn't just you. We are witnessing as well, as we talked about in the last episode, that everything is just being disrupted. I mean, nobody can hide from the narrative that we are seeing about AI. And I think it's just seeding so much uncertainty in us. And that's why when I've gone back and I've listened to Abigail's episode a few times now, it just keeps striking a chord with me in a different way. And I want to focus on what she said about the human code, which is the thing inside you that no algorithm, no rejection, no moment of doubt can replace. And personally, this is the one thing that I keep reaching for in the middle of all this change. So I wanted to go deeper on that. And by the way, if you have not listened to that episode, I would love for you to go and listen to it, but you don't need to listen to it in order to hear what I have to say today, because frankly, what I want to talk about today is what it means to believe in yourself when everything around you is in motion. Also, what it means to believe in yourself before the proof shows up, before the story of having it all together and things being tidy. So, right now, in the thick of it, I want you to think about the super gene that we're going to unlock together, and that is belief. As I go through today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I actually have different questions that I'm going to ask myself as I move through the conversation. And the first thing that I'm going to shift into is focusing on the unprecedented change that we keep hearing about with 2026. I talked about the astrologers. We've seen it with AI. We're seeing it with even natural disasters that are happening, workplace, the economy, the highs, the lows, everything that's just feeling like a whirlwind. So what does that feel like from where you're standing? Well, for me personally, it feels like chaos. From one minute you can, or at least I'm going from feeling really excited about something, happy, passionate, optimistic, and then literally I get a piece of news and I'm just completely on the other spectrum of that. Simultaneously, I am feeling a little bit at odds in the sense of I don't really know how to make sense of where things are going to be in the next 6 to 12 months from a world standpoint that, it's shaping a lot of decisions in my life personally. So I think that it's really hard to say anything with any amount of certainty. And I think that that can be very challenging because in recent years, to a degree, we've been able to predict things and have a fair amount of certainty when we are looking at making decisions in our own lives. And I think that that's what all of this disruption is doing. It's taking away that certainty, shifting to focus a little bit more about how to deal with change when it arrives at once rather than dealing with one thing at a time. I think that a lot of people encounter the, old phrase, when it rains, it pours. And that's exactly what I'm wanting to talk about, is that when a period of change comes, often it's not just like one thing. It's so many things happening all at once. And that's really what I'm talking about right here, right now. When I said that I went from one child to three in a matter of minutes, that I was in Dubai earlier this year when the war broke out. And I just want to pause and say really quickly, for anybody that was also in Dubai, it was scary. I mean, I felt 100% safe, and I will go on record saying that I felt absolutely safe. I love the way that the UAE handled it. I think that they were completely top notch. I'm so grateful for the military and, all the leaders of that country, frankly. But at the same time, hearing the noises that we heard, it was a little bit, shocking because I haven't witnessed that before. I haven't heard those kind of noises before. It can be very unnerving and your nervous system feels it. So navigating that definitely made things even more challenging because it made you wonder, like, is everything going to be okay? And, there's certain political leaders out there that were driving everything. And I personally just couldn't trust what was going to happen. So I want to say that the biggest lesson that I've learned reflecting back about navigating significant change and change all at once is that you really have to just power through. And what I mean by that is putting one foot in front of the other, and trying to not let the enormity of everything come crashing onto you. I know it is easier said than done. Believe me, there were so many moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I could have just spiraled, right? I could have just taken everything that was crashing down, all of the change, all of the uncertainty, and I could have just like let it swallow me whole. But instead, I literally just took a deep breath and thought, okay, what do I need to do right here, right now? What is the next small thing? Even if it's just like literally taking a shower, doing a workout. Okay, I have to, my routine, my consistency, my day in, day out. And I just tried to focus on all of these micro accomplishments and keep moving through what I needed to do to get to the other side. And also to try and not let the things that were beyond my control consume me. Because at the end of the day, if you can't control them and you let them consume you, it can be paralyzing. It can be very difficult to move from point A to point B. So that was really how I tried to keep moving through and navigating the change, was really focusing on what was within my control and still what is within my control and what isn't. And the second thing that I think really helped me navigating change was keeping an open mind. And I still am, by the way, keeping an open mind and releasing this holding on to of what you thought something was going to be. So many times I think we get disappointed in life because we hold on to this thing or this idea or this feeling that we had that this is how it was going to be. This, was the job that I was supposed to get. This was the person I was supposed to be with. That's the trip I was supposed to take. I was supposed to move here. I was supposed to get that promotion. Whatever it was supposed to be, we can't hold on to it when it doesn't occur because sometimes life just has a different plan. So when you're going through a lot of change and when there are a lot of external variables that you can't control, the best thing is to keep an open mind and accept that, my gosh, maybe I am not supposed to go here, go there. And I think if you would take a minute with me right now and reflect back on something that happened, maybe you're like, wow, I'm glad that in retrospect, it ended up being this other way because it wouldn't have worked out in my favor. So when you're experiencing something that is a change that does disappoint you, it's easy to get lost in that feeling. But when you keep an open mind, you keep an open heart to what's possible. And what's possible could be even greater than anything that you have ever imagined. And one question, I can't say that, I can't take credit for this question at all or this rephrase because I honestly saw this rephrase and I've been trying to incorporate it in my own life. But the rephrase is, what if it works out XYZ? So instead of, thinking about the negative way that something could work out or the hardship, you think about the positive and you think about like, what if it does all work out? What if it ends up being even better than I could have imagined? And whoever said that, I honestly don't remember who said it, but they also said that this puts your brain in a way that you're starting to work towards more positive things and it gives you more motivation. You don't have that moment to retract and, possibly pause your work towards a specific goal. And you start to be excited and motivated and you believe that there is a chance and an opportunity that it could work out in such an amazing way for you. And guess what? It can, And that's why I think Abigail's message about believing in yourself and also uncovering your human code and your uniqueness is so important. And when we think about it, change can make you doubt yourself, right? You can believe in yourself hardcore. And when something doesn't happen that you wanted it to, you start to really question your capability. And I'm actually going through that right now. And it takes a lot of energy to not let that tear you down. And I think that, there is something I want to distinguish here, because a lot of times people are like, oh gosh, there is a difference between a genuine belief and telling yourself that it'll just all work out. And there can be something about toxic positivity, because it is good to recognize and also reflect, different things that happen, because it can also be a lesson. It can be an area of opportunity for you to grow as an individual. So I want to say that for myself, when I ask myself, what is the difference between belief and telling yourself that it's going to work out? For me, belief is courage. And it's courage because you not only believe in yourself, you believe in your capability, but it is the courage to actually do it, to make good on that promise to yourself. When you say that you're going to do something, or you say that I want to become X, and you believe in yourself, you also have to have the courage to take that step forward and do what you need to do to accomplish it. And so what I want to say to a woman who's listening right now, who is possibly like me and in a big period of change, and maybe you're struggling to hold on to a belief in yourself, what would be one thing that I would tell you to do this week? I would tell you to write down things that you want to accomplish. So I would literally write down your moonshot goals, but then I would also actually write down your practical goals. So what do you want to accomplish by the end of July? What do you want to accomplish by the end of summer? And it's not just that, but it's also, what do I need to do to get there? And maybe seeing these things in black and white will help give you the courage to take that first step. Because when you take that first step, you are starting to catapult your belief in yourself, and you're not just leaving it idle as a thought, or, oh, you can say, I believe in myself, but if you don't actually do anything, if you don't put the effort, if you don't have the courage to put the effort, if you don't know what needs to be done to, unlock that next stage of growth, then you just stay there idle, like, oh, okay, I believe in myself, but you're not actually doing anything. So my challenge to you is to get real and get practical and think about what it is that you want to achieve, and then put in the little steps and go for it. And the second thing is I want you to imagine, literally imagine, what could my life look like if this big, scary change that I'm so afraid of ends up being the best change in my life? So rather than looking at the change as something pessimistic and, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me, this shouldn't have happened, this wasn't the way it was supposed to be, think about, wow, this change is actually the very best thing that was supposed to happen to me. And I'm not saying to have blind optimism. And I'm not saying that, even this change, if you do think about, oh, it does have some positives, it does have some negatives. What I'm saying about it is that you yourself have the power and the authority to make the situation better or worse. And it does come down to how you think about it. It comes down to perspective, and it comes down to action, and not sitting by and letting yourself wallow in the sadness of what coulda, woulda, shoulda, and instead accepting that change and moving forward with grace, with optimism, and with full force confidence in yourself. And just to get a little bit personal about myself, just maybe as an example, maybe as some inspiration or some relatability, I actually don't know where my family and I are going to end up. We're in a state right now where we are potentially going to be moving. We've been living in Dubai, but both my husband and I are looking for our next career adventure. And you know what? We are in a very fortunate position where we have golden visa in the UAE. We have Australian permanent residency. We have American citizenship. We have, the possibility of living in Europe. So these are all amazing places ripe with opportunity. And rather than being fixated on what I thought would be our path or where I thought we would be living, I am trying to keep an open mind that wherever we end up, it's putting us in the right place at the right time. And wherever we end up, 6 months from that point in time, I want to look back on it and say, oh gosh, it was for the best. And so that's why I'm giving you a personal story to encourage you that even though things don't go in the straight line, or as Abigail talked about, in that box, in that one lane that you thought you were supposed to go into, that is perhaps your most beautiful asset that you can bring to the table. And so before we close, I want to touch a little bit more on the AI front, because that is one of the biggest things that I think people are also navigating right now is, how do I remain relevant when AI is taking over so much of our thought, of our action, of our jobs? And I think that's actually where we need to distinguish what AI should and should not be doing. And I agree with Abigail. I love AI. I'm not saying that I don't love it. I think it's an amazing tool. It's such an accelerator. But at the same time, we can't cease to exist. We need to still have our uniqueness. We still need to have our touch. We need to have our voice, and not just outsource our complete voice and complete thought to AI. Because when you do that, you start to forget what your own thoughts are. Frankly, I would just challenge you to think about that for a minute. When you literally start relying on AI for everything, and I mean everything, even writing a quick reply or a quick text message, you almost forget what you would just naturally say. And what you would naturally say is kind of the driving force in keeping your life mysterious and letting it unfold as it was meant to unfold, and letting it go in the direction that could be unexpected. So my whole point is to do the exercise that Abigail talked about, which is identify what your uniqueness is and don't ever forget it. Hang on to that. Hang on to it so hard because you do not want to forget, and you certainly don't want to stop injecting who you are into all that you do. And frankly, that is definition supergene. I mean, that is the epitome of being a supergene. And it's why I created this podcast, because I want to inspire women to get a grip on what your own supergene is and just wildly unleash it. No holds bar. Just go buck wild and be you. And literally nobody can take that away from you. And so what I want as a close to really sit with you today is that change is not coming. We all know that change is already here. We are in the thick of it in our industries, in our families, in the sense of who we were, who we are, what we're building. And the most dangerous thing change does is not just disrupt our plans, but it makes us stop trusting ourselves in the middle of disruption. And we cannot let that happen. You need to trust yourself and recognize that the most irreplaceable thing inside you is you. And I think that at the center of all of this, the center of that human code, the thing that activates all of it, that keeps you driving forward, is belief. The quiet, sometimes stubborn decision to keep going before you have the proof, to trust what you know about yourself, trust your instinct, even when the external evidence hasn't caught up yet, even when your friends, your family, your partner, they're all maybe even trying to plant little seeds of doubt and, giving you a look like, oh, why is she doing that? Why are you doing that? Does she really think that she can do that? No, cancel it out, block the noise, use that as fuel to fire up your belief and prove them wrong. Because guess what, ladies, you are one of those women. The supergene you are walking away with today is belief. It goes first and everything else follows. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you. And until next time, my fellow supergenes. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you feel empowered from the episode. You can connect with me at supergeneunleashed.com and on Instagram at supergeneunleashed. Please share your thoughts, and I look forward to connecting with you. And until next time, keep on shining and showing the world your supergene.